Walpole United, WFC.
Hey guys, Natalie here, Walpole United, and back again, all women panel, back with Vix, Zoe, and obviously Deborah's made her first, well, not first, but first appearance on this style of show. So Deborah, I'll start with you. How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Good to speak to you, Nat.
Good. Zoe, how are you getting on?
Yeah, great. Thanks. Thanks for having me on the show again.
And Vix, no worries. Vix, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Nat. Good to be here again.
Yeah, so it's I can't even remember what we were last talking about. I think we had points about referees and Sky's coverage, and just want to say, obviously BBC, 1 million viewers, but I think everyone here, we're not surprised by that because, it's Man United effect, and I think we've seen it with attendances, with records before this. Man United get a lot of views. Just Vix, what's your opinion? Obviously, when you saw 1 million, it's a good feeling, isn't it? And it's the way we want it to go.
Yeah, I think we knew it would be the highest one because it was on BBC One, Manchester Derby. I think, it's far bigger than the London Derby. Sorry, Arsenal and Chelsea, but it is. I think that it's going to have a lot of passion and for us as well, because we've got a lot of Man United fans in the team, it does bring that extra bit of spice, doesn't it? And I think we just know we have more fans anyway.
Yeah. Deb, what did you think? Obviously 1.1 million, and that's just the BBC. They're not talked about other people around the world potentially.
Yeah, and I think that obviously the worldwide audience would have been much bigger because, as somebody pointed out, United claim to be the biggest team. They've got the biggest global reach. Not quite sure what that's got to do with attendance at games. However, I think it wasn't a surprise, that kind of number. Like you say, like Vic said, it was on BBC, so it was free to air. But also there's a couple of interesting side stories there, not just that it's a Manchester derby. Obviously, City have had a really ropey start to the season. Nobody quite knows yet what we're doing under Mark Skinner. I don't think we as the fans know yet. So there'd have been a lot of interested observers. What's interesting, though, you talked about there, Arsenal and Chelsea. Those are two teams that are packed with stars. To some extent, there weren't that many on show, world-class stars on Saturday, and yet you still pull in that figure.
Yeah, I think it's the badge, isn't it? I think the badge pulls it in. I think, Manchester derby is I'd probably say next to Glasgow, and then the Spanish. Those are the three biggest, bigger than Tottenham, Arsenal, bigger than, like you say, Arsenal, Chelsea. And this is men's and women's. This is just those two teams, Manchester and City. I think that's sort of a big one now. Zoe, obviously, when you heard them numbers, what's your thoughts and feelings? Standard?
Yeah, it was great to see. It was definitely great to see. It'd be nice if some of those people started coming along to games. If it has that effect, it'd be interesting to see if this TV deal in general has the effect of, we're getting those viewing figures, people watching at home. Will it entice some people to come and join us at the ground? That'd be great to see. Obviously, attendances do seem to be, going on the up anyway, which is great to see. It's just brilliant that it's on show. And like you say, I think it's the badge, and the Manchester derby is just special, whether it's men or women that's playing it. It's just a real special fixture.
Definitely. But the other day, it was a day of the girl, and it's a day that isn't about football. It's just about I read up about it. It's just about girls and the stereotypes that we have to deal with as women, girls, how it's different growing up. And then obviously the Lionesses have pushed for a new kind of campaign. I think it's always been a campaign that's been about, because I remember Casey even talking about it, saying that all girls should be able to play football in school. And I know when I was in school, I loved football. Primary school, I used to play it. And I think I went into secondary school, there wasn't a team. There was never a team, really. I think throughout my whole school years, there was never like a women's team. I was never any good. But I think potentially as a primary school kid, if there was a girls' team, I would have been on it, because I think when you're in primary school, especially, you're more, you're just not bothered. You're more free. I think when you get to year 7, you get into that 13, 14 years, then you start thinking, boys and this and that, or girls or whatever, thinking about different things, going out partying. But I know definitely as a 5, 6-year-old, I would have loved to have probably played in the team if there was one there, but there wasn't when I was growing up. And it's something that we've talked about before. So Deb, I just want to touch, what do you think of this new campaign that they really are now trying, looking like it's serious, get girls playing in primary schools and secondary schools and have a girls team all the way through school?
I'm kind of torn, because part of me thinks it's great. The other part of me thinks, why do we need a campaign? Why is it not natural? Why is it something that we need to have a thing about? It's natural that there'll be a boys team. It's natural that they'll have a kickabout in the playground. Why is it not natural that girls will do that? And there's a whole load of other issues that tap into that, and there's body issues, there's stereotypes, there's so many other things. But yeah, I didn't have the option to play football when I was at school. I wasn't any good either, but I'd have loved to. I'd have absolutely loved to be part of a football team, whether that was at primary school, secondary school. But it wasn't an option. It wasn't what girls did. Now, admittedly, I've got a few years on all of you, but I don't see why it wasn't even an option. So for me, I think it's great that there's a campaign like this. The flip side of it is we shouldn't be needing campaigns like this, but we do. And let's hope it makes a difference.
Yeah, you touched on stereotypes, and I think that's what keeps a lot of girls out. And like I said about the whole, how I would have felt if it had come in when I was a primary school kid, and how I would have felt if it had come in as a high school kid. And like you said, it's those stereotypes about breaking it, because if you love football, you should just be able to play it no matter what. Zoe, do you agree with Deb? Do you think it shouldn't be needed, but you're glad that it's here? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. I have a similar story to you, Nat, in the way that, we had a girls' team at primary school. It was a 5-a-side team, and I was captain of that. And I was also on the boys' team as well. I was the only girl on the boys' team. And then, you leave and you go to secondary school and you still love the game, but there's not a team to go to. And you ask if you can be on the boys' team, and the answer is no, because of the age that you are. And, and that's sort of heartbreaking to a young girl, not having any way of playing football. And I sort of kept it up. I played with my brother on the driveway, but it's not the same as being a part of a team and being able to carry on with that. So I would have loved the opportunity to have kept on playing football. And it always makes me think Katie Zellum went to the rival school to us, and everything that we did, these two schools, my school and her school, it was a big rivalry. And I just think if we'd have had a girls' team, maybe I'd have got to play against Katie Zellum with us being the same age and stuff. So, so I would have loved to have carried it on. And so it's wonderful to think that we've got this campaign now, and that maybe kids like me will have that opportunity to carry it on now. But it's like Deb says, it shouldn't be needed. We should just all have these opportunities. In this day and age, we should all children should have the opportunities to have these equal opportunities. But it's great that something's being done now. But it's sad that it needs to be done.
Do you think that potentially with what we talked about, 1.1 million watching, and then the global audience is going to be more? Do you think that's sort of what's led to maybe because like I said, it's been talked about before. I've heard it before. I've heard it before it was on Sky, the WSL. So do you think the fact that it's like probably gone on Sky and it's gone on BBC, it's led to sort of people feeling like yes, this is now the time? Vix, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, now it's mainstream, because at one point, if you said, "Oh, I'm going watching a women's football match," they'd be like, "Why are you doing that sort of thing?" Because it was banned, it's sort of embedded in people's minds, like it was a bit taboo, something you'd see on, one of the Channel 4 channels that nobody watches. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't important, but to be on BBC One. And, I just think of, I watched it back, and you could see some of the young girls, with like the players' names on the shirts, the girls' names. And you just think, these little girls now grow up with like Ella Toon as a hero, or Leslie, and, all that encourages them. I don't know if you saw that post of the under 10s who were there as well. And it's just like all these little things. It's just like at one point, when you hear Tooney talk, her heroes were like Ronaldo, but now these little girls, their hero will be like Tooney. I want to be like Tooney, I want to do that, and they'll all be practicing the moves that they do, won't they, and everything. So I think because unless you can see it, you can't be it. That's what they say, don't they?
100%. And I just think, like you say, like people will want to be Tooney, will want to be Leslie. Zoe talks about where she could have played Katie Zellum, but it's like a postcode kind of thing. And I know it's not because they're in the same area, but it is like depending on the furry dice. Katie could have gone to your school and then she couldn't have played football. That could have been it. And then Zoe could have gone to her school and she would have been playing. She might have been Man United captain. Zoe. But that's it. It's like a roll of the dice now, and that's what they do say about services. For everything, really. It's where you live, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be just mainstream. And I don't know, I think it's like the government have to push it, and the local schools and stuff like that. But like you said, that demand is there now, and like the kids are wearing Tooney and Leslie, and for that LJ and Jess. Deb, what do you think? Do you think the like 1.1 million is going to help change the minds of schools, and they're going to give it? It's going to be part of every school has to have it?
I think it will, but I think the other thing we often focus too much on is the impact it has on girls. We talk about get the girls watching. And yes, we do. But actually, we need to normalise it to the point where boys watch it as well. And boys don't think it's strange to have the girls on their team. And I think as long as the attitude exists that only boys play, or boys get first choice, or you prioritise a boys' team or a men's team, that will be hard to make that step up and that to make that lasting change. And I think if we can have, I know some schools have got mixed teams, and they'll have mixed teams if the players are good enough. I remember one of my cousins played in primary school, and there was one girl on the team, and for a time she was great, but she was treated like this strange figure. You're a girl. But actually, after a point, the boys all just got used to her and said, all right, yeah, she's just one of us. And it's that kind of attitude, I think if we focus too much on the girls, we ignore the fact that we need to normalise it and have the boys. I've told this story before now, and I've told it to you, but there was one time, a couple of years ago now, my nephew would have been 7 or 8 at the time, and he said to me, he goes, is there any football on TV tonight? And I think it was an international break for the women anyway. So I said, oh, there's England are playing whatever. And he went, all right, I'll ask if I can watch that. And I said to him, I said, but it's women. And his response was, so? And I thought, that is brilliant. That's what we've got to get to, where it's not a case of the women or the men. It's just England are playing, United are playing. And I think when that starts to really drip through, and that's a social issue as well. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not just the schools. There's a bit of adult support that's needed in that. Once that really starts to feed through, then it normalises it, and we don't need these campaigns.
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to come to you, Zoe, but I think it's like what you said about it's normalised. And I think when you hear the stories of the girls who are playing in the boys' teams, it's the kids don't have a problem. Maybe some might, but then it's the adults that are supervising it. It's like you said, it's Zoe going and asking in the school and they're saying no. It's not the boys. They're probably not bothered. Or like you say, it might start off a bit, then they'll just get used to it. It's the parents that will watch. It's the, like you say, it's the bigger society. It's the older men and women that probably are still in that past way of thinking. So probably putting it out on telly will maybe change their mind. And like you say about the little kids, I think your mind's so free as a kid that you just don't really care anyway. It's just normal. Football's on, I'm going to watch it. Whereas I think it's the older people that probably be like, oh, this is a boys' team. Why's a girl there? Kind of thing. I mean, Zoe, when you did play in the boys' team, was there any comments? Did people say, or was it other team, like other coaches coming in saying things? Like what did you find?
Yeah, the actual boys themselves were fine for the most part. I remember one boy really didn't think that a girl should be playing with them, and he never ever passed to me. He never let me take the corners or anything like that, you know. And then when you met his dad, you sort of realised where that came from. It was really obvious, and his dad was very vocal on the touchline. And the good thing for us was our coach was actually a woman, because none of the male teachers were interested in football, and so it was this female teacher that was the coach. So people, the other kids and a lot of the parents as well, respected her for what she was doing, and therefore they didn't seem to mind me being on the team either. And the only thing came from opposition players. You know, I often would running around the pitch, and I could hear the other boys going, "Get the girl!" and you know, so it was interesting. But yeah, the other boys on my team were absolutely fine with it, like you say. And it's interesting now. My cousin, she's actually 30. She lives in Arizona, and she's part of 3 football teams over there. And one of them is mixed, male and female, and they're all, you know, in the 20s or 30s. And she says that the boys, the men won't pass to the women. And it's interesting that when I played as a kid, that didn't really happen, apart from this one exception. And yet these fully grown adults are playing and have that sort of childish attitude to it almost. And I do find it interesting. I think it is, we do have to sort of, you know, even on that post from the BBC on Facebook announcing the figures, if you read the comments, which I really tried hard not to, but I did, and it frustrated me. It's all these fully grown men mocking the game. And I always just, it makes me think, do you have a sister? Do you have a daughter? I bet you're married, you know, I bet you've got a wife. And that kind of language that they use, how can they respect, you know, their daughter when they're using language like that? What if she wants to become a footballer? What if she wants to play football? And yeah, it's the attitudes of grown adults really that we need to target, because at the moment the kids, you know, the kids are innocent and they'll get on with it and they'll have a good time regardless.
Yeah, I think Vix, I think it's something that you sort of said to me. It's something that we brought up last time when we sort of said Gareth Southgate said something because his daughter sort of told him, and then I think you shared with me something, and it's Beckham and he's pushing this girls' game thing, and it's because he's got a daughter. Yeah. We were sort of saying, shouldn't take you for having a daughter to sort of, like you say, if you've got a wife, if you've not got a colleague, if you've not got a friend, you know, your own mother who gave birth to you, you know. You know, everyone's
it's strange, isn't it? It's just like the respect, isn't it? You know, you'd think you'd respect all your family, but like Zoe said, by doing that, you are disrespecting all your nearest and dearest, aren't you? Just by putting down these women who, you know, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. If you don't want to read the post, don't read the post. Why take the time to go, I don't care, women should be in the kitchen, all this rubbish. But I think, you know, it's like we said, it needs to start young, doesn't it? So boys and girls start off on the same level. Because if you think about it, when I was little, I used to get dolls. My brother would get footballs and stuff like that. You know, at that point, I hadn't decided whether I liked dolls. In fact, I didn't like my dolls. I didn't like them all. I used to cut the hair off. But you know what I mean? It was, you know, that was something my mum had decided I would like. I would like a doll. My brother would like footballs. So, you know what I mean? You've got to stop that. You've got to, like, you know, when you have children, you just have to look what the personality's like and see what they like and let them do what they want a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was interesting. David Beckham posting yesterday. I believe she's quite a good little footballer, Harper, from what I've heard.
Well, you know, Romeo's quite good, so yeah, it's in the genes, isn't it? So why wouldn't Harper be good? Of course she'd be good, and maybe she'll be in the NWSL. Yeah, maybe she'll come back into the WSL. Harper, who knows? I'm sure she's quite young, and if they're in America now.
If David Beckham's got his daughter playing football, all these grown men will suddenly have a change of attitude, like, you know, when they're copying his haircut and everything. They'll be like, "Oh, I've got a daughter. I'll get my daughter playing football." Like but you need someone, don't you, to sort of say, "Look, this is what I'm doing. You know, this is what I want for my daughter." And then you always have to have people who'll champion women. Unfortunately, you need men to do it as well as trying to set your own stall, don't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. Guys, obviously Lionesses have pushed that. And, you know, obviously that'll be future Lionesses. But I think we've seen the team come out today, and there's a lot of United players in the team. And then just a few minutes ago, they posted under 23 team, and there's a few 2 United goalkeepers, and then Ebony ex-United. But like, there's a lot of, now I've seen more of a pathway, because I think before, I mean, there's 19s, there was 17s that had 2 United girls in it. There's 19s that got Tara Born in it. You know, potentially Maria Edwards as well. We're seeing that more. Serena, she's building a pathway and she's pushing that. Deb, what did you think? Obviously, seeing the team, seeing Mary, Stanley, Tooney, Alessia picked, and Zelen. Yeah.
Nat, you know me, you know my thoughts on national games, you know my thoughts on international breaks. I've always said, for their own joy, for their own celebration, I'd love every one of ours to get an international cap. One. That's it.
One.
We all saw what happened with Varane. Varane going to international duty. He's now out for how many games? So, yeah, I'm being selfish, but we've always said it. There's a few of us. We're club first. Don't get me wrong. When England are playing, particularly in tournaments, yeah, I'll support them. I'll hope they win. But I don't want players playing if they're going to get injured, if they're going to overplay. And I think certainly with someone like Leslie, there's a chance right now that those minutes need managing properly. I do think it's better that she gets some game time under her belt, but I hope that's managed well. We hold our breath every time one of our players goes out on international duty. So let's hope they all come back safely. In terms of the pathway, you know, it's great to see, but this is also what we're seeing at club level. We're seeing at club level this opportunity to progress through rather than just turn up in the first team. For a long time, it was just the devs and then the first team. There's a real progression. And we may only be very, very, very young into our development as a club, but since being reformed. But that's happening throughout United, and it's happening for a reason, because it works. It's worked on the men's side. You know, we've had underage squads winning their World Cup. It's possible that we can have that transfer. Gareth Southgate was with the younger age groups in the past, so there is a pathway. It has worked, and there's no reason why not. And it's better that players have got recognition. I'd love us to have a team full of internationals that just don't go and play.
I think what you said about, I mean, I'll touch on definitely the pathway. But I think we said about players playing and overworking, and I think with this manager, Serena, I think we've seen it a lot with Jackie. She'll play her to the end. We saw it with Tooney. She was injured and she carried on playing her. And then you think, shit, Leslie's just come back. What are you actually going to do with this girl? I mean, she's very highly rated. Obviously, Leslie, everyone knows Leslie is different class. But obviously, you'd like to think that United had told them this is how we've done it, the 30, the 60, and then just the 90. Just because she's done 190 doesn't mean you can go and play a 90 in your next game, Maybe play a 60, Zoe, what do you think? Or anyone jump in?
Yeah, I always enjoyed internationals, and then it's only recently that I've sort of started coming around to, I'm just going to panic that they're going to get injured, and and I am club before country, so so it's great to see. I know how much it means to the players, like especially like last time. I read countless interviews with Mary Earps of how much it meant to her, and it made me feel so happy for her because I know how much it means to the players. So yeah, good on them, well done, it's deserved. But at the same time, I hope Leslie sort of has a good time warming the bench and and to an extent because as well, so far Toon has been my player of the season so far. I just think I remember. I mean, I know I predicted the other day that she might get sent off in that Manchester derby. I remember seeing her in games and she had moments of quality and then there was moments of hot-headedness and to see the progression that she's been on with United and to the player that she is now, she has the potential to be world class, to be indispensable to us and to England. So, well done to Tooney for getting in the team because she deserves it. At the same time, we need her at United. We need her more at the moment. So I'm hoping that, she comes back all right. But, it is great to see so many of our players doing well for themselves ultimately. But, just come back safe.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's twofold, isn't it? You want them to go off and enjoy it. And like Zoe said about Mary, I think that has actually given her a bit more of a boost, hasn't it? Because I think it was a really bad time for it, wasn't it, when she was dropped from England? So I think for a player like Mary, it builds her up. And I think to a point with Leslie, it will. After, being out for 10 months, I think to think, right, I'm back. I'm not going to be a less of a player than I was. I'm come back, to an international standard. Plus, I also think it's good for any players who look to join United in the future to see that we are full of internationals. If they come to us, it is going to be good for the career. They're not going to just drop out of internationals, and that they're going to be surrounded by a lot of good players. My only worry really is that they're going to be in training with Georgia Stanway.
She might try it. Her and Toon, round 2, mate. Let's go. Back Tooney all the way though. Back Tooney. Yeah. No, but what Zoe said about Tooney, like I remember when we first had our team and Tooney was always getting in like the 21s, and then it's just basically been this summer that she had that. Well, she had the season that she had last year, and then this summer she got called to the Olympics. And I know there's people sort of like, Tooney will get called up, and I thought, no, she will. She's been one of the better ones. In the whole WSL, she's been one of the thing, and I thought, who has a number 10 really over Tooney? People were saying Chloe Kelly, yeah, maybe, but Kelly's on the wing, Tooney's down the middle, and I think as an English number 10, she's up there for me. And I think when we had we're just getting Alex Greenwood all the time, and even when we got Abby McManus signing and she came, and I just think, when the 19s, when we had like Ebony and Lauren and Ramsey and all these players, and Tuna was in that young player category, Millie and Zelly and all that. Like, it was more LJ when LJ's in the England team, when LJ's in the England team, when this one's in the England team, when Millie's in the England team, when Zelly's in the England team. People just sort of, they didn't not talk about Toon, it was just sort of, yeah, and then when Toon. It was sort of like that afterthought. And whereas Toon, I think she's just come through and just smashed it now. And I think, you know, it'd be more of a shock if she wasn't in the team than that her getting a call up. You get what I mean? Whereas, you know, I think today, Leslie's got called up, standard. And I think we were saying, why is Hannah not there? Oh, Hannah maybe next time. I think Toonie is just, will always be, no matter who comes back and all these little ones come back, I don't care. Toonie is that. If anyone cemented it, it's Toonie. You know what I mean? More than any other player kind of thing. I mean, I'm not sure what anyone else thinks. Do you think, Toonie is like solid in that team now, 100%? You know, you wouldn't see anyone saying that.
I think she's earned it, and I think she's gone away at the Olympics. She's not really played many minutes, but she's come back with that little extra bit of maturity, hasn't she? Mark's come in as a new manager, and you sort of worried a little bit because, you know, when she signed for United again, she was 18, wasn't she? It's a big change for her, but you know, she's adapted to everything he's asked for. And even like on Saturday when you watch it back, how many times was she the one who was like challenging the line people and the referee, just really taking control? And when Leah got hurt, she was the one going, you know, what's all that about, sort of thing. She's fighting for everyone. And then you think, God, she's 22. It's crazy. You know, she's nowhere, you know, if you look at her being 22, she's nowhere near a peak, is she? You think, wow, where's she going to be like 2-3 years?
And as she gets older, she'll become more consistent. I think it's one of the frustrations that people have about her in matches is that she might not be the most consistent. She'll have these flashes of brilliance. And I know at times we've joked that she'll do something and it'll keep her in the team because she'll have that moment, but then she'll drop off. Obviously, with more matches, with more experience, she should become more consistent, which will only be good for us in the long run.
100%. And I just want to touch back to something that we said about pathway. And I think even when we first started, we didn't see what we've had last week. Kira Berry and Jess Simpson in the under-17s. Like I said, Tara and Maria Edwards in the under-19s. Then we've got 2 players in the under-23s. Then we've got about I can't count, 6 or 7 in the first team. And it's that from under-17s upwards, there's Man United players. And, you know, it's good seeing that, I think. And it's something that, you know, you see in the men's side, you know, we're seeing like the pathway, the R16s winning the league, development team always winning, maybe talking about winning a cup, things like this. I know, obviously, you know, with COVID, we haven't seen a lot of it, but it's those teams just building. And when you're seeing the top players move through the 16s to the 21s to Tara and, you know, Carrie being in the first team, and then people training up and all that kind of thing. You know, when you see that throughout England and RTC, what do you guys think make you proud?
God, yeah. I mean, you want to see the youngsters come through. That's the Man United way, isn't it? You don't just want to be like Chelsea and City, do you? And just, you know, buying all the players. I mean, City just look around the homegrown talents that are doing well, don't they? And just pick them off. And then, you know, look at Ruby May, she's just sat there on the bench and they're playing Jill Scott. That wouldn't happen at United, would it?
Zoe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Vix. It's the United way. I mean, I was reading the other day that we've had in United men, there's been an academy player in every match since something like 1937, over 4,000 matches, and that's the way it should be. You know, it's about thinking of the future, and it's about nurturing the youngsters, and that should be the way it is in most things in life. You should always want to turn around and help the person that's, the next generation and life should just improve for everyone. And I definitely believe that that's how it should be in football. It's about nurturing the young talent, and United have always had that pathway. Certainly in the men's side, it's I know that in the women's side, it's brilliant as well now. And so now to see that in England, and to see so many of our young players being called up to the different age groups, it's just wonderful to see that that talent is being nurtured, and there's a platform, and there's a place for them to play and grow as people and as players.
100%. And I think the way it's being done is great. Deb touched on this before, and it's something that I said I wanted to talk about. International break. Carla Ward said before her game, it's too many. You have it, you play 5 games, you build up. Hell, they even played 2. They played 1 game, didn't they? Or was it 2? They played 2 games, had it. Then they just played another 2 games, then there's another one. And now she hasn't got a match for a month. And no one's got a match for a month after this midweek fixture. And if you had that in the Premier League, they'd kick off. And I mean, I don't know if maybe, I've seen something that Molly Hudson tweeted before, and she was saying, why can we not keep up with the European, And someone said, well, maybe we need more fixtures in the, pull 2 teams up, and then you've got more fixtures in the WSL. And, because currently I think at the minute, the FA probably like it the way it is, having loads of England fixtures, Wembley, come to Wembley, millions of you just watched it on BBC. Now come and watch it at Wembley. Probably good for them. But for people like me, us here, Carla Ward, we hate it. We hate international break. Obviously, I'm happy for the players. They're doing what they're doing. But, I'm sure they would want to. No one wants to just stop the season halfway through. You have it, like I said, 2 games in, then you have a break, then you have it again, 2 games in, then you have a 3-week break. For what reason? I mean, Vix, what do you think? You've just started coming over, and you sort of started watching it via the World Cup. It should get like people are going to watch the World Cup.
Yeah.
World Cup great. But I don't want a World Cup every 2 years either. I mean, what do you think about international breaks in the women's game? Too many, isn't it?
I just don't know why they're so long. Do they really need to train for 10 days before a match? I mean, in the men's game, they play, they train, don't they, for 2 or 3 days, they play, and then it's wrapped up, isn't it, within a week usually. But a week to 10 days at most. But you think, God, why did they need to be away for so? And I hate it anyway, because when United come back, they're always rubbish in the game, the first game back, always. Just so slow. It's like they forgot who each other are. Been away that long, and you're like, oh no. And so you never get that momentum. It's like you're saying, people saying about Arsenal and Chelsea struggling in Champions League. There's not enough teams, is there, really, in the league? Everything's a make or break game, isn't it? Determining the order in the league, because it's never going to be competitive enough, is it? Not enough teams.
Go on, Deb.
It's something we talked about probably in the first season, because we were learning that. We're open about that. It was new to us. We were learning about it. And these constant breaks, it takes a dedicated fan to stick with it. It takes somebody to come away from a game, think, oh, brilliant, when's the next one? Look at the calendar and go, oh, they're on an international break for 3 weeks now. Some people at that point would go, no, never mind. Other people, like us, would have said, right, I'll make sure I'm there for that. But if you keep putting those barriers in so that people don't know that there's a game next week, so that people don't know when that next game is, it's really easy for casual fans who could become more dedicated fans to lose interest. You can't sustain that interest. If you've got a kid that comes away from a game and says, I really want to go and watch them the next time they play. Oh, sorry, it's not for 5 weeks. How can you expect to grow the game? And I think the constant battle is that the FA prioritise the national team. I get that. but sometimes I think it's to the detriment of the club game. And they see the national team as the pinnacle, and the club teams are just the feeders. Understandably, that's where you get your players from, rather than actually this is an entire competition that we should really, really value. And this is a product in itself that we can sell. So it shouldn't just be, let's try and get a full crowd at Wembley for an England game. Let's try and get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 for a club game. Make that your priority, and don't say every time there's a men's international break, oh, teams, go and put your game in a men's stadium. That's not growing it. It's having a one-off hit, and it's gimmicky. You've got to give people, I know it sounds daft, you've got to make it easy for people to follow the game and get into it. When you've got these constant breaks, it doesn't work. We talk about the pre-COVID. The last game we went to was that Everton game on Feb the 23rd. We didn't then have another game scheduled for about 4 weeks. Now, admittedly, March the 23rd, we all locked down, but we had nothing. In that time frame, we had nothing. I think we were due to play, we had a double header coming up, I think, on the 22nd. Well, not double header. We had West Ham on the 22nd, City on the 29th. But that's a 4-week gap that was scheduled as it was. So people are going to lose interest. And I think that's part of the problem with international breaks. There's too many, they're too long, and I think they're having a negative impact on the following of the club team. Rant over.
I think that way, don't you? You know, once you've been to a match, it's like after Birmingham, it's like, oh, I can't wait for Saturday. And then it just stops and you're like, oh God. You know, you've got that little bit of momentum, haven't you? And you're watching the team. And you know, like if you knew as well, you're getting to know the players and the other fans, and you know you've got this little routine that you're developing. And then, like you say, it stops, and you're like, okay, so what do you do now? But like you say, they've prioritised international football for so long. It's like that's why the Americans are so successful, aren't they? They're a big part of it, aren't they? Because, you know, and the thing is, like you say, with the FA, you think they prioritise club football because it gets more kids through grassroots, wouldn't you? And promotes the English game, you know, and gets more kids involved along the way. But it's all about the big players and the people who earn the most money. Talk about equal pay. But are you going to get everyone up to a level and fully pro if you don't promote that?
But I mean, Deb talks about something about watching it, and I think we had our highest ever attendance, and then the million that watched on BBC, and then like you say, when's the next game? Oh, it's next month now. You know what I mean? So if people have enjoyed that game, and it was a lot of first timers there, I know a few. Someone watches this channel, you know, have come it, Andrew and John. I think it is, sorry mate if it's wrong, but like listen, he watches it, he wants to come, he came to the City game, and then now when's his next game at home, you know, next month, halfway through the week, you know, halfway through February, not even November, I mean, not even like the first week because we're away, and then obviously we're at home, so it's adding more people, I think. And I think, like I said, Molly Hudson said something and someone replied, and we need a bigger league now. And it's something that I've talked about the championship, but I just think having more games for the WSL will then sort of, you know, encourage maybe, you know, there's a big league in Spain. They have a lot of games. I think they have about 15. We need to have more than 12 now. It seems to have grown bigger than that. I mean, what do you think, Zoe? I know I see you nodding and I see you agreeing with everyone's points.
Yeah. I mean, it made me think. I was thinking about that at weekend when it kept coming over the tannoy trying to sell season tickets. You know, we did have a good attendance at that derby, and it would have been a perfect opportunity for some people to go away, because it was such a thrilling game as well, especially that second half. I do think that some people will have gone away and thought, yeah, I want to come back. Let me go on and look at fixtures. I'll get a season ticket. the fact that, like you've all said, we're not playing for ages, they'll be like, oh, well, there's no point me getting a season ticket now. I'll leave it until the next game, until before the next game, and then I'll get it then. And then they forget, and then they don't come back, So I was thinking that at the weekend whilst we were in the ground, and I'd love to see the league grow as well, because I think, obviously you don't want the sort of I guess danger of sort of like the men's game, where we often hear about managers complaining about how many fixtures there is, how many competitions, how it can sometimes be dangerous to certain players, to their, especially if they're struggling with injury and whatnot. I don't want it to necessarily grow to that extent, but I feel like the FA tries to grow the game in a really unorganic way. Like you say, they focus on international. They focus on oh, look, here's England, here's a load of free tickets, come and join us at Wembley kind of thing. And then immediately afterwards, or immediately before, they'll plan it so that the fixtures or the draw comes up with like a big game, and then they shove it in the men's stadium, like you say. And it's all to grow the game. And it feels so false and so fake, and frustrates me. I want it to grow organically, and there's so many things that the FA could do to grow it organically, to invest in the right places, and not just sort of do these sort of almost international publicity stunts in the way that they do. So yeah, we have too many international breaks. They're too long, and I do think more fixtures would sort of improve the game.
Definitely, I think it's not just for the benefit of like the players in the championship, because there's quite a few full-time teams, and I think it's unfair now to say only one comes up. I think we need to add another team, and then whether I don't think they're going to do it this season, but I think it should be a major. That should be the next thing next year, right? Two up 100%, because we need to grow this game. You can't have a 12-team league and sort of keep people interested, because it doesn't stretch out long enough,
No.
Now, you remember sorry, Vix, go for it.
I don't think we should just have one team relegated, because that's pretty boring, isn't it? At least take two down. Then I'd love playoffs. I love playoff games in the the championship would be amazing with playoffs. You imagine?
I remember our championship year. How much hassle did we get for being a professional team in an amateur league? And now it's the standard. And actually, it's shifted that quickly in just over 2 seasons. I know we're into the 3rd season now, so obviously these teams have gone in after 2 seasons, and it's mainly professional. And if that's what can happen that quickly, why are we holding these teams back? And the other thing is as well, more games. Yes, obviously, let's space them out so we're not risking injuries, but that should drive up the quality. And if that drives up the quality, what was it that Edeval, the Arsenal coach, said that one of the reasons why Barcelona are so good, or they were so much better than Arsenal, was because their league gave them time off before, or they didn't play the weekend before, or whereas we just make everybody play. That's your game. Play it whether you're playing in Europe midweek or not. So we have a very, very rigid season. Yeah, we play then, you play then, you play then. There's no variety. And it's fit to a number of teams. And I honestly think that if you take out a couple of those international breaks or shorten them, you can have that quality improve, which then brings in better players, which then improves the league, which, hey, coincidentally, might just start bringing in some more viewers. It might start bringing in some more people to the ground. So I think if you've got these professional teams, let them achieve. Don't hold them back. One team up, it's not enough.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, we started it, and now everyone's doing it, and that's the way up, and that's the way out, and it is what it is. And I think the growth of the championship is something that's definitely been not talked about enough. But like you said, they're full-time now. Majority of it's full-time. Bring these teams up. Come on, let's get more games, more competition. Better for you. Better than in the long term for the national team, you know? More options for the players to play at. But hey, what do we know, eh? We've just been watching it a couple of years. But it looks like they're learning, and it looks like, you know, I've heard things like when they're saying, oh, the championship will be professional. So if you want the whole 12 teams in the championship to be professional, you got to let more than one of them come up. Come on. I think we'll see it. I think, you know, like with playoffs, like what Vicky said, it's something that's been talked about a lot. But listen, guys, I'm going to have to wrap up. You know, we can come back to this. Definitely another topic, championship, and what needs to help the growth of the game and all that kind of thing. But yeah, guys, if you liked it, drop a like, subscribe, comment, follow these guys. Deborah, where can people follow you?
Follow me off my own on Deborah Henry or MUWSC. You can follow the supporters club that way. Good.
Zoe, where can people follow you?
It's @_ the writers room.
Brilliant. And Vix, what about yourself?
@Victoria License on Twitter.
Brilliant. And yeah, hopefully people who watch it, who came to the City game, will see you again at more games at LSV. That's what we want. We want atmospheres like that. But yeah, I'll see you again soon, guys. See you later.